It's common to feel like you're held back by a lack of motivation. And while discipline is super important and motivation isn't everything, we can't deny that it's easier to do things when we're motivated. And if we set our lives up with the right habits, our minds will generate motivation more effortlessly and more consistently, which will lead to a happier and more productive life. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jorge Calaos. I'm a business lawyer based in Florida, specializing in high-stakes lawsuits. And in this channel, we explore the principles and the strategies to help us live more productive, meaningful, and fulfilling lives. Now let's get right into the 5 habits. Motivation habit number 1, manage dopaminergic activities. In today's day and age, it's more important than ever to manage our dopaminergic activities because we have so many dopaminergic opportunities at our fingertips. Maybe the most prime example is this beautiful thing right here. And it's not just the smartphone, but it's all around us. We have infinite opportunities for food. We have infinite opportunities for entertainment. We have infinite opportunities for drama, whether that's the TV or politics. We have infinite opportunities for novelty and a shock factor, like through the news, for example. And so because we live in a world with so many dopaminergic opportunities, it's normal for us to end up engaging in a ton of dopaminergic activities. Why? Because it feels good. Now the problem is that if you engage in too many dopaminergic activities, your dopamine receptors in your brain may get fried. And with fried dopamine receptors, you're going to feel a chronic lack of motivation. The best way to solve this, in my opinion, is to remove this thing right here from your life, or severely limit it, because you can't really remove your phone because you need your phone to call and text and stuff. But you can set limits on your social media apps so you only check them, let's say 30 minutes every day. I understand it's hard, but if you've ever talked to somebody that's done anything like that, they will tell you how much it can change your life. Other ways you can manage your dopaminergic activities is to not overconsume caffeine, not overdose on dopaminergic music. Basically, the more you engage in dopaminergic activities, the more you're going to fry the dopamine center of your brain. In my opinion, that's the number one reason that most people today lack motivation, because we've simply burned out the part of our brain that generates that feeling of motivation. So me personally, I don't use my phone for the first hour and the last hour of the day. That way I have some peace, at least at the beginning and at the end of the day. And if I have peace at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, the middle will tend to be more peaceful, and I find myself less impulsively reaching for dopaminergic things, which makes my brain healthier and makes me happier. Motivation habit number 2, be specific with your goals. It's very hard to remain motivated when our goals are very vague. If we have a goal of get rich or get fit, those goals are so vague that the vagary of the goal itself overwhelms us. In other words, when we don't know specifically where it is we're going, we tend to get very demotivated. And so it's great to want to achieve all these amazing things and be really ambitious. But in doing so, it's important to take the vague vision that we have and to crystallize it into a specific goal, because the brain is going to be much better able to attach or connect to that specific goal. And when it can do that, it can derive motivation from it. Moreover, when we are specific with our goals, we know when we're achieving them. And when we know we're achieving our goals, that leads to more motivation. Which leads me to motivation habit number 3, which is to break down big goals into smaller ones. If all we have is big goals, even if they're incredibly, extremely specific, if they are really big and they are really far away, it can take us a long time until we achieve that goal. And so if we go too long without achieving any goal at all, we can start to get demotivated. So breaking down big goals into smaller goals, smaller steps to that goal, helps our motivation in 2 ways. Number 1, it places smaller, much more achievable goals down the path to the big goal that we can achieve every now and then to keep us motivated. And number 2, it keeps us from becoming overwhelmed with how big our goal is, because when all we have is the big goal, we can get confused as to how in the world we're going to get there. But when we break that down into smaller goals, we see exactly how we can get there. And so we're able to derive motivation from that big goal much more consistently because we see and know the path to that. Motivation habit number 4 is the 5-minute rule. The 5-minute rule states that whenever you don't want to do something, just tell yourself you're going to do it for 5 minutes. The reason this works is because action builds momentum. When you start doing something and you continue to do it for 5 minutes, by the time the 5 minutes is up, you've already built enough momentum that it's going to be way easier to keep going after those 5 minutes than it was to start in the first place. And so because you know you can start in the first place, you know you can do the easier thing of continuing to go. I'm a big fan of this rule. I use this every single time I don't want to do something something, I just say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to shut my brain off. I'm just going to do it. And what you'll realize is that the more you use this 5-minute rule, the less you need to use it, because you train yourself to be an action taker, and that just becomes your default mode. You essentially end up using the 5-minute rule without even realizing it, because that's just your default mode, is to go into action. And if your default mode is to go into action, you're going to be a very motivated and ambitious individual. And finally, motivation habit number 5, reward yourself just the right amount. In this book, The Molecule of More, Dr. Lieberman and Michael Long discuss the role of dopamine in our brains. Now, one interesting thing they talk about in this book is the relationship between dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine is the chemical that we release when we want to get something. So dopamine is not necessarily interested in having things, it's more interested in chasing things. Whereas serotonin is more about enjoying what you have right now. So one of the points that they make in this book is that we want to manage and balance both of those molecules. We want to balance the desire to get more with the desire to enjoy what we have. We don't want to just go all the time and never enjoy ourselves. We don't want to be all dopamine and no serotonin, because we'll end up burning out. And that's what I mean when I say reward yourself. But when I say just the right amount, I mean don't be all serotonin and not enough dopamine. Because in order to pursue something, you need some level of dissatisfaction over the fact that you don't have it yet. And if you don't have any dissatisfaction whatsoever about not having something or not being somewhere, then you will have no motivation to move in any direction. And so reward yourself, but just the right amount. Now, if you like that little tidbit on dopamine, I made an entire video on dopamine that you can check out right here. And as always, if you enjoy this content and want to see more of it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn the notification bell on, as well as click the link in the description box below where you can join my weekly email newsletter, where I send you content like this every week, every Monday via email to get you started for the week. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.